how to teach the knotted ring small basic recipe for teachers. So this recipe is sort of towards the end of the beginner recipes. It kind of goes nicely after square spiral houses, so around the time of DigiGirl's Flower. So it's got subs and it has a little bit of interest around the methods. Pretty simple though, there's no if statements or anything. So it also can be used as a warm-up recipe. So we're going to start with intention again. So we're going to look at line 11. So turn the tortoise 1/30 of 360 degrees to the right. Tortoise.turn 360 divided by 30. And we're going to go ahead and run that. And there's that one. And then clean that line up. And then we're going to turn the tortoise 5 more degrees to the right. And run that as well. And there, that one's a little hard to see, but it's working. So now we're going to go down to the draw octagon with overlap. And we're going to move the tortoise 110 pixels. So that's easy to see. And we'll run that. And we'll clean up the line above it. And the next line, turn the tortoise 1/8 of 360 degrees to the right. So turn 360 divided by 8. Again, some nice familiar patterns. The kids are going to feel real comfortable with this and kind of go fast. Get them into that rhythm of code a line and then clean up a line. So now we're going to do the octagon. We threw a little tricky thing in the for loop here. For I equals 1 to 8, and have them do that first and then put in the end for, which will of course draw an octagon. And it's going a little slow at this point, so in just a minute here we're going to speed up, but we're actually going to keep it slow so they can understand what the overlap does. So there's that. So now we're going to just say literally +1, and we'll do the right click format and take off this for the repeat and have the kids watch real closely. You're going to see throughout a lot of the we call them turtle graphics recipes, we draw the shape first because that usually involves the most complex programming, and then we reward with working on the colors. So have them watch for the overlap. There it is. That's what they're looking for. Okay? So now we're going to turn this into a sub, again reinforcing the one method per activity, good programming practice, and good descriptive method names. So end sub, draw octagon with overlap. And of course when we run that, nothing will happen because we didn't call it. Kind of a basic concept, but you want to keep reinforcing that and format the program. Now we want to go up to the top and we want to call this draw octagon with overlap. So it's just going to turn at the end, and I'm going to make this fast. Normally you would do one line at a time, but just for the purposes of the instructor video here, I'm going to make it fast, and you'll see it just turns and gets ready. Okay, so we're almost done with our shape. We have one more loop to do, so we're going to do a for loop, and remember we have to do a different variable. 1, 2, and there's that bug again, 30, and we're going to say end for, and then we're going to go ahead and run that. That's going to make kind of a funky, cool looking shape. So our ring goes along there, but it's boring in black and white. So just like in the DigiGirl's Flower and in the Spiral and a lot of different recipes, once the kids get the core shape, then they get to have the fun with the colors. And so we'll format this. And what I've done for the purposes of time, because it's the same pattern, is I've filled in this color palette down here. So I'm just going to translate a couple lines. So add hot pink to the color wheel. We're going to say color wheel dot add color, and then we really want them to use the colors object, colors, because it's less typing, and we use long color names here, so a lot less typing they're going to get done. Now again, as I'm just getting rid of these lines, the kids might want to change colors. They can, you know, it depends on how comfortable you are with the class. If they're following the other directions, then reward them by letting them do their colors, or say do it our colors first and then you can change it during the variation. So these are all the various colors. So this won't do anything, of course, if I run it because I haven't associated this. Now I'm going to do something on purpose here. I'm going to close this out, and I'm going to say this line right here, this is a fun line, change the color of the line the tortoise draws to a random color from the color wheel. So I'm going to say tortoise, I'm going to say set pen color, I'm going to say color wheel, and I'm going to say get random color. And it'll be an interesting result here because we have some colors here. Let's see what happens. They're not called. So this is a key learning for this, because even though we've got colors assigned to the color wheel, they're in this method, and we have to call that method before we start drawing. So this is a really key learning. See, we've got the colors in the color wheel, but we have to call that in a method before we start drawing, or the color wheel is empty. So this really helps the kids with understanding how the code is executing. So it's a great way to teach it, to show that you have to get your color palette all set up and call it before you start drawing. You know, and you can use the real world example that if you were going to paint, you got to get your paints ready before you start painting. So let's go up here and then let's call it, and we'll say create color palette, and we've translated this line. And although we actually didn't, so let me put that back because we didn't see it. So that's something important. The kids are going to want to get those lines off before they're of English before they're fully translated, because that's how they feel they're making progress in the recipe. But really enforce that until they see the intention of that line in the code, they should leave that English line there. That's a very common thing that happens when teaching. Because of course, if you come around and they've erased the line, you might not remember, and it becomes a little bit tricky. So we'll go ahead and run this. And if that does happen, they've erased the lines, a teaching tip is to just open a blank new copy of the recipe and put it side by side. So there we've got our cool looking colors, our neat looking knotted ring, and again, like some of the other turtle graphics, as the kids are getting more comfortable with the core concepts, moving into variations at this point after you do a recap. And then I don't think we have a quiz for this one yet, but we will get a quiz up there. Making sure that you do the quiz is really a great thing. So for more recipes, go to www.teachingkidsprogramming.org.